The guest is Pastor Walker, and the issue is issues of recidivism. And of course, Reverend Walker, before we had our first commercial break, we promised that we'd give you an opportunity to continue some of the issues and some of the things that you think cause these individuals to go out, get out of the system, and then go back into the system and back and forth.
Well, I think, Dr. Haney, one thing that we have to really be clear on is the fact that some people go back into the prison system, they're reincarcerated because they, during the period of time while they were there, they didn't try to better themselves. They didn't try to do anything different. They had a mindset that I'm going to come out here and I'm going to do my thing no matter what. So they did that, you know, and they get reincarcerated and stuff like that. You know, you got that. That's there. And then you've got other people that maybe get reincarcerated because they get out and they got doors slammed in their face and they get frustrated, and because they don't have a solid support system there to help them through those rough moments of time, then they'll end up, you know, maybe absconding from parole supervision by not reporting to the parole officer, or going hanging out, or even recommitting another, committing another crime. So you got that. But then at the same time, there's another part to this puzzle that's really puzzling to me, Dr. Haney, and that's the fact that, you know, you have the Department of Probation and Paroles, and I'd like to share their mission with you. It says, our mission is to minimize public risk and promote lawful behavior by the prudent, orderly release and community supervision of adult offenders at the least cost to taxpayers. Now, that's a great, that's a great mission statement, you know, to be able to supervise these adult individuals and stuff like that, making sure that they're on course and everything like that. But the reality is that's a myth. That's not really what's happening in terms of the experiences that I've had with the probations and paroles. And more so in particular, Mr. Gary Tullock, who's the Director of Field Services, because Dr. Haney, we developed a program. God empowered us to develop a program that has 42 guidelines, and then we have a fine system in place that we use as leverage to enforce those guidelines. Everybody knows that in society, you know, if you go down the street speeding, you get pulled over and given a speeding ticket, you got to pay a fine. You know, they supervise you on parole. If you don't pay, you know, parole fees and all that stuff, they'll violate you and all that stuff like that. Professional ball players, you know, if they're late for practice, they'll pay a fine. So a fine system with checks and balances and things like that, that's as American as apple pie. You know what I'm saying? And nobody, any true law-abiding citizen does not have a problem with that type of system in place, especially when you consider that we live in the United States of America, and we have a judicial system, and we have policies, procedures, guidelines, and all these things like that. So we developed our program with that. But then, you know, I was having a problem because I was bringing people out of the prison system, and people was falling by the wayside, because my desire is to help people, and they were falling by the wayside because what happens, Dr. Haney, they make a commitment to say, I'm gonna involve myself in your program for 90 days when I get released. They know up front what the guidelines are, they know what they have to do, but then some of them would get out, and then they would start complaining to the parole officers about this guideline, that guideline, and the parole officer was allowing them to move from the place and stuff like that. And then what happened was the person, they moved from the structured environment that they had paroled into, and now they're out there failing. So they actually been set up to fail in a situation like that.
By taking them out the program itself.
By taking them out the program. Absolutely, because our program is structured. You know, you got groups to go to, you got church to attend, you got Bible study to attend, you got to work your job, pay your program fees, and it's supervised, you know, and it's structured. And when they were taking them out and doing that, so I had an issue with that. So I called the Department of Probation and Parole and tried to schedule a meeting. I talked to Betty also. She threw this little mock meeting together in which she did not attend. A couple of parole officers attended, but I still was no results. So